Hello, good morning. My name is George. I'll be doing another YouTube video. This time I'll be taking on the Quick Labs lab titled Caching Cloud Storage Content with Cloud CDN. Of course, as usual, we right click on this and open it in a new private window. Once there, we will use our Pluralsight credentials to log in. Please make sure you use your credentials, the one known associated with the program, guides program. Okay, so we enter that and then we click on sign in. Okay. All right, so give it a moment. Oh, I see our interface has changed. It's no more green, it's now yellow, kind of yellow brown or something. Brown, I think. Okay, so it's the same. We check our updates here, and of course we click here to return. Okay, so the lab should last for an hour. So quickly, always read the overview and state the objectives. Here we'll be creating and populating a cloud bucket, storage bucket. We create an HTTP load balancer with Cloud CDN. Verify the caching of your bucket content, invalidate the cached content. Of course, Cloud CDN is it's a service you use to make your responses from your site to your clients far more faster. You don't things that have been accessed will be cached, and then if that same request is sent to your site, it will simply take from the cache and respond instead of actually searching for similar content. So let's quickly click here, start the lab. So the first task will be to create and populate the cloud storage bucket. So let's open the console. Let me click to select the username for this lab. Please note that the username for the lab is provided by Quick Labs and is totally different from the email you actually use to sign into the lab. Okay, so let's take the password from here, put that in here and click next. Okay, and then accept this to move us to the next page. We will click on confirm. You don't need to update anything. The email isn't yours, so you don't need to update them. Okay, so let's give it a moment. Let's go back to the documentation and see what we'll be doing. Okay, so Cloud CDN content can originate from different types of backends. Computer engine, virtual machines, zonal network endpoint groups, internet network endpoint groups. These are for endpoints that are outside of Google Cloud, also known as custom origins, and then Google Cloud Storage Bucket. So these are the places from which CDN contents can originate. Okay, so we'll be creating a unique bucket, and we have been most likely will be using the name of our project. So we'll create a bucket and specify the following. Give it a globally unique name. So I'll use the name of my project by clicking there. Get that. Okay, we have one more screen, one more pop-up to engage before we start the lab. Okay, so we agree once more. You don't need to update anything. You click here. All right, so that being said, let's activate, and then while that is coming up, let me go down to storage and click here. Okay, continue, and then let's create a bucket. All right, let's close this. We're not using it. Okay, give it a unique name. I did. Okay, that's it. Which other thing? Location, region, location. Choose a location that is very far from you. Okay, so let's click continue. The UI is a bit different, so but it does the same thing. All right, so it said region, and then pick a region far from me. Let me pick somewhere in Asia. Okay, let me pick Sydney. That's quite far. Okay, and of course standard storage. Then we'll click create. So let's create from here. Of course, you could click through to see the other options that are present. The change, if you take time to observe, the changes you see are not so different from what the UI used to be and what the options were. Like for standard has now comprises regional and multi-regional buckets. So if you want to get a standard multi-regional bucket, it's still available. You want to get a standard regional bucket, still the case. You can still get that from your settings. So copy the image files into your buckets. In the Cloud Console, we've activated that one already. If prompted, click continue. Of course, we've done that. Then we need to export the name of our buckets. Okay, so we will just pick this one up to the equal sign. Let's get rid of this. Let's bring up our shell, paste that in, and then go back here and pick this up. Okay, because that's the name of the bucket there. Now put it here. All right, and hit enter. So that is there. Okay, so to copy two images from a bucket to from a public bucket to your bucket, run the following commands. Okay, of course, gsutil copy gs. This is the source up to this point, and of course the destination is also a bucket. So both source and destination have the same gs starting their name. So let's click here to select this, come down here and drop that there. Okay, so let's take this up a bit. All right, so those have been copied to our buckets. So if we click into this bucket, we're already in there, we don't need to click. Okay, so that's it, 2 items are there. Okay, so let's go down and said, okay, we refreshed that and that happened. Let's see, there should be a refresh button up here. Okay, I don't see one, but merely clicking on it has refreshed it, so we see the buckets. Okay, so in the Cloud Shell, to publish the image files to the web, run the following commands. Of course, this is ACL. Let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. Let me zoom in a bit, okay? And of course, there should be an option. Okay, let me take this to a new tab so that it's easy for me to work, play with, and so that you can see the commands. Okay, so this command actually changes the access control list of these buckets, and actually changes it and makes it available to all users, and passes the R option, which in Linux terms is simply saying recursively. Recursively means it doesn't just stop at the top level of the bucket, it actually goes through into the contents in those buckets, and if there are other folders, it does the same thing recursively until every item's ACL permissions have been updated. Okay, so we're good to go here. We will close this one. I'll come back here. So let's do this. Let's click this, come here and paste that in. Okay, that should take less than a second to get done. Okay, that was more than a second, but at least less than 5 seconds. Okay, now we've done this, we've been asked to refresh. So let's refresh this. There used to be a refresh button somewhere. Let me click here. No, there's no refresh button. Okay, we refresh it so that we see what changes have occurred. So let me just click here. All right, and let's go. Okay, it's off and the rest. Okay, so let's click back into that bucket. We should see public IP URLs. So those are copied. These are URLs that give you accesses to those images we have stored in that bucket. So we check our progress, and of course we should get 5 marks, and there it is. Now create the HTTP load balancer with Cloud CDN. HTTP load balancing provides global load balancing for HTTPS request of static content to a cloud storage bucket backend. when you enable Cloud CDN on your backend, your content is cached at a location at the edge of Google's network, which is usually far closer to the user than your backend is. Okay, so that, in simple terms, that simply means when you use Cloud CDN, if the request for your bucket items are coming from let's say South America, what Google Cloud does, it stores this content close to using an edge location in South America, so that all requests from there will be as fast as possible. Okay, so let's go to creating load balancer. Let's click here. Let me open that in a new tab. So network services load balance, let me open that in a new tab so that it's easy for us to jump between tabs and get things done much faster. Okay, so under this we click start configuration, and then we select from internet to my VMs, click continue and call, and then we name that load balancer CDN-LB. So let's do that. It's coming up. Give it a second. Okay, and then we click here, and then from internet, and click continue. Of course, load balancer has the front end and the back end, so we'll be configuring those. Okay, so let's start with the back end. Now in the back end, we will create a bucket. We'll call this is the name of the bucket, and then we'll browse and then click select and select enable Cloud CDN. Okay, let's do that. So let's go back here and backend. All right, we come here, we select this buckets, click on that, and that opens up. We paste in the name, and then we browse, and we'll pick this bucket, and we are told to no, we don't need to do that. Let's go back a bit. So that's the bucket. We select, click on this, and then click on select enable Cloud CDN. Let's enable Cloud CDN there, and then we'll click there. What else are we supposed to do? And then we create. So that's all. That's been done. Okay, now then click create. Now we configure the front end. So the front end, we use the HTTP protocol IP version 4. The IP is ephemeral and the port is 80. Okay, so that's as simple as it can get. Okay, so we click here, we go to front end. Name is optional. Okay, can leave that one out. So every other thing is as expected, and we just have one front end, and then we are told to click done, and then we review, and then click create, and then after that we click on the name of the load balancer. So let's do that. Let's click on review. Okay, this is our front end, and of course this is our back end, and then the path is simply to our cloud storage bucket. Okay, so let's click create. All right, so once this is up, we'll click on it, and then we'll note the IP address of the load balancer. We'll open a new browser and navigate to the IP address, and then of course see if we can access this image. Okay, so let's check on our load balancer. It should be ready. It shouldn't take that long. Okay, we can refresh the page. Okay, all right, so it's ready. So let's click on it. Okay, let's click on it, and we note the external IP. So we copy that one, open a new tab, place that one there, put in a /, and of course the name of the image, and let's see, it doesn't go, so we need to wait a bit. You should see an error because the load balancer needs time to be available from all edge locations. Wait a couple of minutes and keep refreshing the browser tab until you can see the image. In the meantime, you can read about caching details here. Okay, so we need to wait a bit, so just wait a few minutes. Let me go back to load balancer. Let me click on monitoring. Okay. Okay, nothing is happening. Let's look at caching. Okay, all right, just give it a moment. Let us click on this. Still not working. Let's give it a bit. We chose a location that was quite far from us, so just give it a bit. Okay, it's monitoring. Okay, let's just hold on. Okay, meanwhile, let's look through the documentation. After that, we'll check our progress. Then, third task, we verify the caching of your bucket's contents. Now that you have created the HTTP load balancer for your bucket and enable Cloud CDN, it is time to verify that the image is cached on the edge of Google's network. Now, time the HTTP request for an image. One way to verify that an image is cached is to time the HTTP request for the image. The first request should take significantly longer because content is only cached at an edge location after being accessed through that location. You could, you already accessed and cached the regions.png image. Of course, when we will do that when we get to see the image in our tab. Therefore, you will focus on the CDN PNG image. Okay, so don't do this same thing we're doing here for the other image. Let it be for only the region.png. Oh, regions. I did regions, so that doesn't exist. So let me put an S there and then hit enter. And there we go. All right. Nothing's still happening, but nonetheless, we have the right name. Regions.png. Okay, let me look. Okay. All right, so let's see. Okay. 6.9. All right, so we just take our time. Let's look at the buckets. We have okay, the names. Okay, let me click on this. Okay, normally there should be something here that would click on this one, move it, download, scan. Okay, so we're not doing that. All right, so okay, so that's the other one. Then regions.png. So it's taking a quick bit of time, so let's hold on. In a Cloud Shell, we'll export or store the IP address of the load balancer. Okay, let's get about doing that one while we wait for our image to come up. So let's take the external IP address of the load balancer, put it in here, and then hit enter, and that's that. Okay, we come back here, and then we're supposed to run this. We won't do this now. We will hold on to that. And then to invalidate the cache, we open a new browser tab and navigate to this, replacing this with the IP address of the load balancer. Okay, this image is very dated and needs to be replaced with a newer image. In Cloud Shell, replace the old image with a newer one. Okay, so we will copy from this to this location and then make the image public and then return to it. But okay, that's basically what we'll be doing. So but let's have our image come up first. When it does that, we can now move to the next stage. Okay, so our image is there, and of course it's been cached. Let's see. All right, let me kind of refresh this page. Okay, so let's go back up. So they said once that is done, we should click here. So that is okay. Now verify caching works. So we've done this one. We've exported the external IP address of the load balancer, and then we will run this command, and this command will curl. Curl simply is used to drag any resources from the web. Okay, so we'll be doing it here, and of course we'll use a loop. Okay, it 10 times. We'll do that 10 times. So let's go to our shell and paste that command, and that should, okay, so it begins. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, let's see if anything shows up. It will show up. Just request. Okay, the request. Okay, all right, so hold on, let's see. Okay, so that request is true. Okay, in this example output, the second and third request takes less than 1% of the time of the first request. Okay, we're supposed to look at the timing. Okay, you see it returns the time. Okay, let's look at that script again. Okay, so they'll see the time part of the script, and it does that on a new page. So let's look at the script again. Okay, so this will be attached to, of course, it will pass into the null directory or location on the Linux system, and this is where we'll be hitting, and it simply just outputs this, and of course a new line will be outputted after that particular one. So we're using it to time, and then if you look at the timing, the first one is 2 seconds. After that, subsequent ones come in much faster. Okay, so what else are we supposed to do? All right, now invalidate the cache. How do we do that? Open a browser, put this, and then replacing this with the IP address of the load balancer. Okay, so this is the same thing. So let's just copy this one, copy that, come here, place that, and then you say cdn.png. Let's be sure we have the correct image name. Okay, cdn.png, and of course we can hit enter. All right, so let's hit enter. All right, so that's been done. All right, so this image is very dated, outdated. I think that's what they're trying to say, and needs to be replaced with a newer image. Okay, so in the Cloud Shell, we will run this. We will bring in a new image. So let's go here. No, Cloud Shell is here. Okay, this is the Cloud Shell, sorry. Hit that. All right, so let's look at our storage. Let's click this. All right, not public. Okay, let's look at that command again. Let's look at it. It copies, and of course, let's look at the older version of that command, or the first one, the previous one we used. Okay, the name of the bucket of the image was CDN. Okay, all right, so we will do what? We override the current one. Let's see. All right, we brought in a new image and then called it the same name with the previous one in there. So what it simply did is overwrote the old one and replaced it with the new one. So if you look at the storage item, you see it's no more publicly available. So what are we supposed to do? We need to make it available once more. So let's click here, drop that. Oh, I did the wrong thing. If you click into the shell, it copies it automatically to your clipboard. So careful when you do that. Okay, that's been updated. Let's click here again. Okay, come on. All right, let's click out and then click back in. Okay, it's now publicly available once more. Okay, so now we return to the browser and reload. Okay, they said we should reload. Let's reload. Okay, we've done that. All right, you should see the old email because it's still cached. Okay, so we ought to see something new, but the cache is still caching, taking the contents from where it cached it and presenting it to you. So you still see the old one. Now, in the Cloud Console, navigate to Network Services, Load Balancing. Click on the name disk. Click Caching. For the pattern to invalidate, type this. Okay. So we come here, go to caching, put this in here, okay, and click invalidate and wait for the invalidation to complete under the recent caching invalidation section. So we invalidate our cache by clicking on that button and then waiting a bit, and of course we will see the results here. Okay, so let's give it some time, a few minutes at most. Network error occurred. Do I have issues with my network? Maybe I do. Okay. Let me invalidate once more. Let's come back here. This sends off the requests to invalidate the cache entries, so the command takes some time to run. Now we return to the browser and reload, and we should see the new updated image. So I actually have created 2 invalidation requests. So let me allow it to run through. Okay, the first one is coming through. Second one should be on the way. So, but nonetheless, let me wait for that. Okay, it's taking a bit, it's quite long. Let's see if we refresh this page, we'll get a new image. We're still getting the old one, so we need to wait. Oh, that's taking a bit of time. Okay, we just need to wait a bit. Okay, so the first one is done. Let's refresh the page and see what happens. Okay, so the new image is here. Okay, so we click on this and we should get a good check mark, of course, and that's the end of the lab. This should be updated to 15 points, and it has been updated, and we are good to go. So you can delete this, close this, close this, close this one, and then close this one, of course, shut down the lab. That's it. Thank you for watching. Of course, you leave your likes both on Quick Labs and on my YouTube channels. Bye bye.